Sometimes you stumble across a single historical record, just a name and a date, and you realize it's hiding an entire world of personal struggle and sacrifice. Today, we're going to dive into one of those stories. It's a really poignant look at a young woman's life from over a century ago that, honestly, it reveals a much, much larger truth.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in San Diego, California, and the year is 1916. The whole world is on the verge of massive change, but for one family, the most seismic shift of all is happening right inside their own home. And this is where we meet our central figure, Emily Auble. The source material puts it so starkly. She was 16 years old and her world was falling apart. She was about to face a choice that really no teenager should ever have to make. So before the crisis really hits, let's get a picture of the world Emily was living in. It was a life that should have been filled with friendships and school, but it was completely overshadowed by a looming family tragedy. So who was Emily? Well, on the surface, she was a pretty typical junior at San Diego High. She had a best friend named Gladys and was probably thinking about senior year. But underneath all of that normal stuff, a shadow was growing. Her father, Charles, was slowly dying from injuries he got in a fall, and as his health failed, the family's whole future was just hanging by a thread.
The next few months were an absolute whirlwind. This timeline here just shows how quickly her world unraveled, from that awful, dreadful wait in March to a final, life-altering decision just a few months later. And it all kicked off with one single, devastating event.
Every story has a turning point, right? Well, for Emily, it wasn't just a day. It was a specific evening that drew a permanent line between her childhood and her new, harsh reality.
This is it, the event that changes everything. On March 23rd, Emily's father passed away. And just like that, the painful uncertainty was over. But it was immediately replaced by grief and a brand new, very tangible crisis. In the moments right after, Emily is just completely lost. You can feel that profound sense of disorientation. It's the voice of a kid trying to grapple with an adult tragedy, that feeling that the very foundation of your life has just crumbled away.
And with that emotional shock came a brutal economic reality. Grief, it turns out, would have to wait. The family now had to confront the cold, hard price of just surviving.
This was the question that was hanging over Emily and her mother, Georgia. The family's main breadwinner was gone. But the bills, for the funeral, for the house, for food, they don't stop coming, do they? So what could they possibly do?
This table just lays out the heartbreaking conflict at the heart of their whole dilemma. On one side, you have Georgia's hopes for her daughter, finish school, have choices, have a life better than her own. But on the other side, there's the grim reality. The income is gone, there are debts to pay, and a widow's pension back then was nowhere near enough to live on. Just imagine being Georgia, seeing all your dreams for your child just crumble. And then imagine being Emily, knowing that the only solution rests on your 16-year-old shoulders. This line just perfectly captures that immense, unfair weight, and it led to a choice that would change everything.
So, Emily makes her decision. And with that choice comes a series of goodbyes. Goodbye to our friends, to her teachers, and goodbye to the future she always thought was hers.
You can see the two paths just diverging right here. The path she expected to take led to senior year, graduation, maybe even college in English literature. The path she was forced to take, it led to Marston's department store, to a job as a sales clerk, to a life that was defined not by choice, but by duty. It is just such a stark and painful contrast.
But even as she leaves school, you see these little glimmers of hope. Her English teacher, Miss Hammond, gives her a book of poetry with this note inside. It's so bittersweet, right? A recognition of a lost education, but also this urgent plea to keep her spirit alive.
And amidst losing so much, she doesn't lose her best friend. Gladys's promise of unwavering friendship, that was a critical anchor for Emily as she stepped into this really intimidating new world of work and responsibility.
So what do we take away from Emily's story? Her personal sacrifice connects to a much, much larger picture of history and of memory itself.
This powerful declaration really sums up her journey. It's not about a lack of fear, it's about acting in spite of it. She and her mother are bound together in this shared struggle, doing what they absolutely have to do to simply survive.
Now, it's really important to understand where all this emotional detail comes from. The author is very clear that the dialogue and the inner thoughts that we've explored here are imagined. This is a work of historical fiction that's designed to bring the bare facts of the past to life.
And while those conversations are imagined, the central fact is not. Historical records confirm it. Emily Auble, a junior in high school, dropped out in June of 1916, right after her father's death, so she could go to work. The core of this story is absolutely true.
And that leaves us with this final thought. Emily's whole story was built from just a few lines in an archive. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories of courage, sacrifice, and quiet resilience are hidden just like hers, waiting in the silent pages of history?